What's going on, guys? This is Carl with the RacerRed channel. Up here taking a little bit of a ride up here in the mountains. It's the best way to get away.
A motorcycle is whatever you want to make it. Turn it on, you can give yourself a real thrill.
What's going on, guys? Today I wanted to talk about riding in snowy conditions. So in most cases you'll need to keep your weight back, and this is mainly for snow conditions that are softer and deeper. And there's going to be varying conditions, like a lot of the snow is hard packed and some of it's a little bit icy, but most of this is going to be to help you guys ride in conditions that are kind of softer or deeper snow. So in most cases you want to stand up to help counterbalance the slides. If your bike gets a little bit squirrely, it's better to be on the back tire, and if you're standing up you can move the bike a lot easier than when you're sitting down. Try to go into it without panicking. I know that snow induces panic in a lot of us, and the more you do it, the less effect it'll have on you. But I know that's easier said than done. That's kind of like telling me to do a 12 o'clock wheelie without panicking. It's just, we're all good at certain things, so you definitely want to practice, and the more you do it, the less you'll panic when you're in the middle of a bunch of snow. But you definitely want to be hard on the throttle to keep your front end up and to keep you driving forward, and don't lean the bike too much. You want to steer with the rear tire, and definitely keep on the power and try to keep your front end light. You're still going to want to work the suspension when you're going over bumps and stuff like that, so the same concepts apply as normal riding conditions. Definitely want to actively be riding your motorcycle while you're in the snow, and counter your bike depending on the conditions that you feel through the bike. So the hard pack slick stuff is a little bit different, requires less throttle, and you want to make sure that you keep your clutch finger ready to go, because any slip in traction, you want to pull in your clutch and stay off the brakes. If you touch the front brake, you're definitely going to face plant. You want to stand up and make slight adjustments, but the key is to make slight adjustments no matter what it is you're doing on the bike when you're on that hard pack, slick ice or snow. In fact, in most icy conditions, you will be required pretty much to run studs. There's just no way around that. And slimy mud can be really way worse than snow, depending on the conditions the snow presents. Slimy mud is generally more like ice than snow. So deep snow is very similar to actually probably sand dunes. I would compare deep snow to sand dunes, but with much quicker steering. You have to be way more careful about your front end diving in the snow. So it's going to require a lot more attentiveness when you're in the snow, but as far as steering the bike and everything, it's kind of like riding in sand dunes. Also, when you're riding in cold conditions and snow, you're going to have a lot of effects on your bike. You're definitely going to want to keep track of your radiator, make sure that snow doesn't get packed around there, because your bike will start to overheat. Your oil is going to be thicker, and that's going to make your bike harder to start, and your battery is going to be weaker, which is also going to make your bike harder to start. And your suspension oil, that's also going to be thicker. Your suspension's not going to feel right. You're definitely going to have to wear or work in your suspension for a solid 10 minutes for it to really feel normal again, and your bike is going to run leaner. So you definitely want to be cognizant about your motorcycle and keep track of how it's running, and just keep a finger on your bike's pulse just to make sure that you're not running it lean for a long period of time and wide open. That's a good way to destroy your engine. And this is especially true if you're running ethanol in your bike. You definitely want to keep track of that. Ethanol does not burn below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, so you definitely want to keep track of that. It doesn't burn below 32 degrees, so below freezing. And it also absorbs a lot of moisture, so it will cause a lot of unpredictable conditions for your bike. So it's better just to avoid ethanol, especially if you're going to store your bike in winter conditions, because the ethanol in your fuel lines and your gas tank, it really absorbs the moisture in the air and really messes with how your bike runs, and also it can cause a lot of corrosion. Studs are definitely something that I would recommend for riding in the snow, especially if it's hard packed. And there's no perfect way. It's just mainly spending time in it and growing your confidence in riding in snow, keeping your weight back, and remembering in the moment to respond to all those little different effects that the snow will have on your bike in real time, because sometimes your front tire will sink a little bit and you're gonna have to respond to that. And I know a lot of people have a tendency to just jump off the bike or just purposely kind of crash, kind of freeze and just lock up. And I know that I would do that a lot more at first when I was riding in it, but as I've ridden in it more and more, I kind of just got used to it and built my confidence a little bit, and so it's helped quite a bit. As far as ice and slicker conditions when it's really hard packed, because of really hard packed snow, in this video it shows some of that in the tire tracks on this snowy stuff. You'll see me slow down and barely use any throttle, and that's because it's basically ice that I'm riding on, so that's when I'm keeping the bike straight up and down and not using any throttle, and I pull the clutch in and just really regulate the power to the ground and don't lean the bike at all. But when you're riding on ice, I really would recommend using studs, because there's just no way around it in most cases. So as far as what you should wear, you should definitely change that depending on your ride. It's going to vary for every single ride, but in most snowy conditions I'll wear a neck gaiter as a bare minimum, and then hopefully some waterproof items. I don't usually use anything waterproof, I just try to stay out of it for the most part, but you really should wear something that's waterproof, and then try to pack stuff around your engine cases like foam to keep snow and mud, because where there's snow there's usually mud, so you definitely want to prepare for stuff getting stuck to your bike. So maybe line your under fenders with WD-40 or some other stuff that sheds mud really well. Dress accordingly. I know that the snowmobilers won't have any problem with that, but as a dirt biker you tend to just throw on a pair of pants and a jersey and go out there, but it's definitely important to be prepared for the cold weather in more ways than just technique and having your bike ready, but also your gear, because once you can't feel your fingers and your hands, your technique goes out the window for sure. So definitely put on some good gloves. I use the 100% Brisker gloves in pretty much all conditions under 50 degrees, a neck gaiter, and those are my two minimums. And then I wear a sweatshirt and underlayers late into spring.
But, you know, most of it's powered by climate change and powered by that thought of climate change. With what's currently happening, a little bit soft, as we are restricted on where we can travel to. Outdoors, the mountainous areas like this. Currently I'm able to come out here, but I really don't know how much longer. It makes no sense to on these bikes. These beautiful, beautiful bikes. I have a breadcrumb deal going right here. Thanks to my patrons, you guys are awesome. This actually saved my butt a few months ago. Now I use it every time. 4,600 feet elevation. Generally, you'll find me on a bike unless I am horribly injured, unless I have an arm flopping around or something. A little bit late in the day, so I figured I'd better turn around in case something happens. It's going to be dark here in about 20 minutes, I would say. Social distancing world champion right now. Careful not to hit my other track because it will lead me astray. Get the crossroaded pretty easy. Currently I'm riding in the snow that's probably 3 feet deep. I came up that just barely. That was pretty steep for snow riding. This goes the same direction. Something big went that way pretty recently. Saw big old tracks up in here, I think. Can't tell exactly what they were. Looked maybe like bear tracks. that front wheel. So right around 4,500 feet, I've been pretty good. But anything above that, I think I probably went to, I'm not sure exactly, maybe 5,500 or 6,000 feet up there. Still, it's going to take some time before I can ride that stuff up in the higher elevations.